Well, normally it's Control-Z, but on a Mac, it's Command-Z. You Apple users know what I'm talking about. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Brand new series on Netflix that dropped today. The country of origin here is Mexico, and this show is called Control-Z. I was interested, especially when I heard this premise. It may not end up being the show that you expect. I need your comments down below. Did you enjoy this? And let's get into this review. So in Control-Z, when a hacker begins releasing student secrets to the entire high school, the socially isolated but observant Sophia works to uncover his or her identity. And I really enjoyed the young actress here who played Sophia. Not a lot of credits to her name on IMDb, but she really handled herself well. She is just this all-knowing being that no one knows to go to because people look at her as an outcast. But if everyone just asked her, hey, what's going on with this guy over here? What's up with this situation? She would probably have your answer. And when the show started, I'm like, okay, is there something going on here? Because she's just really good at this. But it's almost like a Sherlock Holmes situation. She just puts together context clues and is so aware of how people act both on a social level and what goes on behind the scenes. So I thought that aspect of her character was cool, and that's not all to her, but this is a non-spoiler review, so I don't want to get into it. She continued to impress me even when the story was slowing down, and that's the thing about Control-Z. I think the comparison here is obviously going to be 13 Reasons Why. A very different situation that sparks this. We're trying to solve this mystery and see what's actually going on here, but that obviously ends up being the case. Now, with 13 Reasons Why, I just think that show has almost run its course. We'll see what happens with the new season, but it keeps going, and season 1 had that magic that I just don't think they've been able to live up to in future seasons. This show, once again, very different situation, but we're dealing with these students who have these deep, dark secrets, and every secret ends up being different, but a lot of them are quote-unquote embarrassing to that particular student. That gets released to this high school, and being the extremely judgmental individuals that some of these kids are, it causes for chaos. And I mean, you just want to rip your hair out when you see some of these kids on screen because they're just ruthless. They're mean. Not all of them. We slowly meet characters. There's one new character introduced in earlier episodes. He ends up befriending Sophia, and I really love that relationship. A couple of people here and there that kind of change their mentality, become friends with her along the way, and all of them come together to figure out who did this. And then when you finally get that revelation, that's not all there is to the story. The story progresses into not something else entirely, but something a bit different. Now, I will say this. It is a show that follows the formula, if that makes sense. You have your tropes. You have your kids doing wild things. You have your extremely unlikable characters to the point to where I think some are going to get annoyed with just how angry you get when you watch some of these kids on screen. And I'll tell you what, I felt that way. I'm like, that guy's a punk. This group of kids is treating this poor girl like she doesn't exist. It's ridiculous, and it's just constant, right? To the point to where it's heightened reality, in my opinion. This doesn't follow the formula of how an everyday life situation works. Things are over the top. Students are always engaging in sexual activity, and it's this constant harassment towards each other, and things are going on in their families' lives, and elements there, obviously, what I just said is realistic. These things happen, but it is constant in this show. But I will say this. It doesn't start out shifting tones within the first few episodes. It has a tone, it sticks to it, it stays consistent, and it plays on those tropes in a way to where the character of Sophia is calling these kids out. You see it in the first couple of episodes. She's literally laying on the roof, scouting out exactly what these kids are going to do next, putting together context clues, if you know what I mean. And it is interesting. And you're in this because of her, but you're also in this because you want to know, who is the person who released this information? Who is diabolical enough to do something like this and ruin these kids' lives? We're talking kids who maybe got away from a situation, left another school to come here to hide their secret, a secret that if these kids weren't as ruthless as they were, you shouldn't even be worried about, but that is the case, unfortunately, both in real life and in this show, even though this show does tend to take those kinds of things overboard. But it was interesting. I also like the style and the structure of the show. At first, it was a bit much. And shows are doing this more often nowadays. It plays on, kids being on their phones. You have the sound effects. You have the messages on screen. You have the virtual reality looking special effects. And it takes a bit to get used to for sure. And just the fact that it is so different, and it is a show that you're going to have to kind of adjust your mentality towards, that's going to throw a lot of people off. And then getting into what I was trying to get into earlier, when we get to, I'll say one of the integral parts of the show, a climax. Maybe not what you think is going to be the climax, but when we get, and you'll know what I'm talking about when we get there, I don't know if I loved it as much as a lot of people will. I just felt unsatisfied. I've been on this journey, I've been in this adventure, and pretty attached to some of these characters, not gonna lie to you. Not just Sophia, but Isabella, and I liked Javier's presence at times. You're on board, right? Well, when you get to that eventual destination, one that you may not expect in the first place, I just feel like it's not going to do it for the audience. But I am curious to see what you all have to say about that. Was it worth the journey at the end of the day? But I think there's enough here in Control Z, enough unexpected elements, some really solid acting. I think they take this culture into effect and it works out well on screen. If you are much younger or a family looking to watch this, I will say it does push the boundaries of certain things. It does get a bit sexual, like I said, and I mean like, oh, these kids are, oh, okay. But they explore plenty of themes in this show. You have bullying, you have sexism, racism, manipulation, and it never feels like it's pushing a certain agenda. It never gets overly preachy. I just thought it was real in that aspect, even though certain aspects are definitely not real. They're over the top. But it was real in that way, even though it does get a bit melodramatic, a little bit too soap opera-y, and the twisty and turny nature of the way the narrative plays out going to keep some people on edge, and others, they're just going to fall off. So I'm going a 60% for Control Z. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave your comments, your thoughts down below, and if you enjoy these Netflix reviews, smash that thumbs up button. Okay, I'll see ya.